Shri Arun Shourie needs no introduction. He's a great economist. He holds a doctorate in economics. He has held several positions in public life. We all remember his wonderful tenure as a minister in the with our Vajpayee government. And then, he has also been in several other important institutions. More than anything else, he is a great author. This is his 27th book. So the title, Two Saints, Sri Ramakrishna and Ramana Maharshi, is of great interest to all of us. So it was our idea. In fact, Dr. Majumdar, who was the librarian in India International, he kind of suggested, he gave me a copy of the book and said that, Maharaj, why don't we have a session here? So, but then I wrote, and within a few hours, reply came from Shri Shourie that yes, Maharaj, I'll be very happy to come here. Then I thought that we should also bring Swami Atmapriyananda, who is equally well versed both in the philosophy and the other incidents, etc., related to Ramana Maharshi. And of course, he has read extensively, thoroughly, written several articles and other things on Sri Ramakrishna and our philosophy, etc. So we thought it would be a wonderful evening. Arun Shourie ji really presenting the perspective from the book point of view, and then Swami Atmapriyananda ji handling it from several other perspectives also. So let us leave the stage, give the mic to the two speakers this evening. So I request all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phone, and maybe towards the end, when if you have a little time, we can leave some space for question answers, which we can. Huh? So right now, I will request first Shri Arun Shourie ji to begin the proceedings. He will first speak, and then Swami Atmapriyananda will also respond.
In a book that I had done the last time, book preceding this one was called Does He Know a Mother's Heart? That book was of the lessons which I have learned by serving my child, who's a multiply handicapped child. He's now 42 years of age, and my wife, who has had Parkinson's now for about 25 years. So I had learned many lessons, and naturally, like anybody, having to serve two persons he loves and who are in these conditions, I had asked the question, what is the explanation for suffering? At a time when we say there is an all-powerful, all-knowing and fully compassionate God. It just doesn't seem to be the case. Either He knows but does not have the power to remedy these things, or He does not know and has the power but does not know, or He has the power and knows and yet lets the suffering continue. And then I had turned to the explanations given in our scriptures. And I had covered the Upanishads, the Gita and the Brahma Sutras from our side, then the Quran and the Old and New Testaments, and found, and certainly those explanations did not go down my throat. So I turned to the explanations that three persons whom I revere greatly, what did they say when persons who had suffered blows of fate came to them for solace? So they were Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi and Gandhiji. Somebody's mother, a child has died. She travels from Andhra in bullock carts and so on and brings the child to Ramana Maharshi. I've heard you can bring him back to life. What does Ramana Maharshi say then? And so on in Sri Ramakrishna's case also. And that how did they then explain their own cancers? Because we regarded them as avatars and they got this illness. So several explanations were given by them and by the mother and by others, that because devotees touched the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, so he took on the ill karma of theirs, and all these explanations. Or the brother one day when he was taking, the doctor had said don't swallow anything, but he wanted to take water. So Sri Ramakrishna took the glass away, and the brother cursed him that a day will come when you will not be able to swallow anything. So Sri Ramakrishna himself said, and the mother said, that it was the result of the curse. So all these explanations I tried to deal with in that book, and the idea of this conclusion was that actually speaking, these explanations don't work. And therefore I had been attracted by the teachings of the Buddha, who said that time and chance happens to them all. And I can't do anything about the primary cause of suffering. Your son has brain injury, you have to see the neurosurgeon. Maybe he can do something, maybe he can't do something. But you have built a 7-story structure on that primary cause of suffering. Why did this happen? Why did this happen to this child? What will happen to the child after I die? Who will look after him? I can help you dismantle this 7-story structure. And that was the book. And the explanations given by Gandhiji certainly seem to me to be. I am a devotee of Gandhiji, but they seem to be, they bordered on the embarrassing. Explanation for the Bihar earthquake and for the killing of the Jews in Germany. He was asked these questions, and his explanations were very, but they were explanations that a person sincerely believing in God had to come to. There was no escape. So, but by that time, I had naturally my fascination for Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Ramana Maharshi had become much deeper. So that is why in writing this book I focused on these two saints, and because their word has the ring of truth, and secondly because it is clear that they had attained the highest states, and that our reverence for them is because of their great attainments spiritually, their own saintliness, their goodness, and the solace which they brought to millions, and also because of what I think is underrated, about the influence they had on the course of our country, both of them. We think of Gandhiji and we think of Lokmanya Tilak and so on, but of these spiritual figures at that time, how, for instance, the Bengal in the 19th century was being swept into westernization of a very crass kind. Completely, we had become almost, we had become ashamed of our culture and of our religion, of idol worship, of our rituals, as if these are the hangovers of primitive times. And here is a simple man, by his goodness, he turns the thing around. So that is, in short, the book. The book is full of a lot of neuroscience and so on, literature which I try to read and try to understand and see the neural correlates of particular experiences, or when Swamiji is finished, and if you want an example or two, I can at that time give an example or two. Thank you.
Yes, now Swami Atmapriyananda will speak.
When we don't have explanations for something, we invoke the divine. That has been the tradition in the human mind. So this is a remarkable book according to me, because it stimulates thought. Why certain things happen in the way they do, the scientists also don't have any clue. But science is now dancing on the stage because of technology, not by science per se. Because the technological applications, the marvels are so many that people think that scientists are godmen. And we recently had the debate in the God particle. So Sri Ramakrishna's take, which has been so beautifully illustrated in this book, whenever you ask him why certain things happen, he had a wonderful take on this. Swami Vivekananda later on pointed out Sister Nivedita, the Irish disciple, who always said, plans, plans, plans. You Westerners always plan. We have in India we have a theory of fun, Leela. Why certain things happen? Why did so many people get killed? It's God's Leela. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, oh, it is the will of the Divine Mother. Who the Divine Mother is, why did she will it that way, nobody knows. There's a way of saying that there are so many things which we do not really know. And both Ramana Maharshi and Sri Ramakrishna, their names begin with the Ra. There was an interesting example I was remembering in Chandogya Upanishad, there are so many interesting parallels which the Rishi draws. And the great Shankaracharya, the commentator, he cannot sometimes match these parallels. Rajat and Ratri are compared. So Shankara says, how can Rajat and Ratri be compared? Then he says, Ra Samanyat. Because both they begin with Ra. Our most revered Vice President Maharshi Smaranandaji, who used to teach us the Upanishads, he was very funny. Sometimes we can't match certain things. We used to go to him, Maharaj, how is it that Hare Rasa Manya, leave it like that? That means you can't really match things. Things don't match. So both these people were extremely practical even in spiritual life. Ramakrishna used to say, you have come to the mango orchard to eat mangoes. Why do you go on trying to find out how certain things happen that way? We do not really know. Ramana Maharshi also in his own way, and most of the avatars and real men of God, like Buddha for example. Malinka Buddha was a great disciple who went to him to ask so many questions about the universe, whether it is permanent, whether it is eternal, whether God exists, God does not exist, etc. Buddha said, a poisonous arrow has struck you. Suppose you say, I will not take out this arrow unless I know the color of the man who shot it, whether it's a Brahmin or a Kshatriya, or he was tall or he was short, or he was fat or he was lean. By the time you answered these questions, you would have been dead. The arrow of sorrow has struck you. And I am showing you the cause of this sorrow and how this sorrow can be removed. Sri Ramakrishna puts it positively, Ramana Maharshi puts it in a different way, but the language is the same. There are 100,000 things in the universe which we do not know, science also does not know how certain things happen. There is a wonderful theorem, the Gödel's theorem. I wish Shauriji writes another book, drawing parallels not only from neuroscience, from physics per se, because I've been trained there, I've been fascinated with some of the great advances of physics. Many people ask me, Swami, why did you become a monk after been doing so much of physics? I said, it is not in spite of it, but because of it. Because if you take your study seriously, which most of the present students fortunately don't do, they can't be the same before they began to study. Because if you take physics really seriously, it will tell you the world is exactly not what it appears to be. You have to look at the world different, your worldview will change, your vision will change, and your life therefore has to change. You can't be the same person again.
And the second point was that in both cases, they will focus, they are always focusing on things which we should be doing here and now, and not waste our time in intellectual disputation or hair splitting. That is why Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa always brings us back to what is to be done now. Ramana Maharshi, when he concludes in an exchange by saying, no, but who is asking the question, is always bringing one down to his exercise to go and find who am I. So that, when somebody comes and asks, but aren't you worried about the world war? This world war is going on, so many people are dying. So he knows that actually speaking, this lady is concerned about the world war, about which she can do nothing. But she can do something about her own mind. So he will say, no, but who is asking the question? Who is worried and concerned about people who are dying? You find that out. So that in both cases there is this convergence that they are trying to focus our minds again and again back on what we can do, what we should do here and now for our own inner spiritual growth, and not get, and that this intellectual inquiry can often be an excuse for not pursuing the inner quest, which is the essence of our tradition. So there are two very valuable lessons. And finally, as Swamiji has emphasized, we should not get stuck on any notion or any theory or any saying, but we should try to be, we can't be 100% Paramahamsa, so we should try to be 2 paisa Paramahamsa. In this way, I end with the well-known parable of the Buddha, that a father who was so fond of his son, he goes to the market and he comes back and finds that, oh God, the house is on fire. And he finds a child's corpse burned, and it has been reduced to ashes. And now, but he loved his father, loved his son so much, he always wears those ashes in a little pouch around his. And years pass. And one day, somebody knocks at night on his hut. And he says, who is it? He says, I'm your son. So what? My son? No, you're some fraudster. My son died in the fire. I have the ashes. So the son tries to say, no. I was here. The robbers were passing by. They saw the house burning. They rescued me. They took me away. I have come back. But the father doesn't believe. Because he is fixated with the notion that his son had died and he has the ashes. So he says, when the real son may come, when the real truth may be revealed to you, if you are stuck in particular notions, as Swamiji warned us, then we will not be there to receive. So we should keep an open mind with the confidence that these great people, these two great saints, like others, revealed and lived the great truths which we should try to partake in, howsoever small dose we can. Thank you very, very much.
And one more thing about the solidol which I was mentioning, Arthur Eddington, the famous astrophysicist, he wrote in that book, famous old book, Nature of the Physical World, towards the end, he is defending mysticism versus science. Then he says there are two kinds of knowledge. One is intimate knowledge, the other is symbolic knowledge. The knowledge which we have, the universe, and science and so on, neuroscience, whatever, they're all symbolic knowledge which we gather from certain data and facts. There's an intimate knowledge which we spontaneously and naturally have without being able to prove them or to analyze them. So he gives a simple example with which I end of the humor. Suppose you say it's a piece of humor. Then as a scientist you will ask, what is the definition of humor? Scientists will always ask for definitions. And in India we have great texts like the Dvaita Siddhi and so on. There is a definition. What Wittgenstein you would say? What is the definition of a definition? So what is the definition of humor? There are some characteristics, 1, 2, 3. If these characteristics are there, it's truly and naturally as a piece of humor. Suppose somebody tells you a joke. I am a scientist, I will not believe anything blindly, I will analyze it, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end of the analysis, you really know that's humor. Now, laugh. Eddington says, the analysis of a joke retains all the characteristics of a joke except its laughableness. It just doesn't do to analyze a joke. The reaction comes spontaneously. Then he adds, there could be some people endowed with extraordinary wisdom and vision in which God for them is real. Spiritual truths are real. And they intimately know that it is true. Ramakrishna said, I see God and talk to Him. Then don't try to analyze His experience. Rabindranath Tagore famously said, a mind which is all logic is a sword which is all blade. It makes the hand bleed which uses it. So let us not bleed, but let us rejoice and be happy. Sri Ramakrishna, the first knack was done on Ramakrishna by Bhairavi Brahmani. The peer team consisted of Vaishnavacharan and Gauri Pandit and so on, just to prove that he is an avatar. With great texts, Bhava, Mahabhava, etc. One by one, scientifically, Bhairavi Brahmani proved that he is the avatar. You know what was Ramakrishna doing? He was eating some spices innocently. At the end they said, "Hey Ramakrishna, it has been proved that you are the God-man." So they said, "I'm not mad, that's good enough." So, let us, as Christ said, rejoice and be exceeding glad in the name of God, constantly thinking about the welfare of others, sarva bhuta hite rataha, unselfish, purity, truthfulness. Character, these are the hallmarks of spirituality, not the visions that you have. You pointed out, Ramakrishna himself condemned those visions, not the visions that you have. Arjuna saw the greatest vision, the Vishwarupa. Why 7 more chapters were required? Because vision is not the end of everything. Once again he became doubtful. So we have to have spiritual character and feel God in our very heart of hearts, which will flow out as selfless service to the entire humanity. Thank you.
So we are extremely thankful to both the speakers for giving us such a wonderful evening. As our Arun Shourie has pointed out in the book also, see, basically these of course just a little, finally, a layman's view. I would like to just say that, in the sense that, the analysis, the parallels that we find to neuroscience, etc. Ultimately, I feel, when you go to Ramakrishna, Ramana, etc., they may not give you so much by way of explaining the world as such, but they will remove your individual soul. So spiritual life is essentially an individual journey. It's purely subjective. So any amount of explanation of the world will not come to your aid when you are really in great sorrow. See, actually, unfortunately, Arun Shourie himself has gone through so much in his life. That's what has made him write some of those books, question some of those theories, some of those beliefs and all that. But in Sri Ramakrishna's time itself it happened. So when Manilal, he lost his son, just from the burning heart, came straight to Sri Ramakrishna. He was sitting in his room. Sri Ramakrishna even did not look at him to start with. But slowly, after some time, he talked to him, and this is what Manilal finally said, "I know that nobody else can wipe out this sorrow. That's why I came to you straight from the burning heart." Not only that, I would, of course there is no time to wind up. I can give you any amount of instances where people have gone through unbelievable tragedies. There was a family, very briefly I have to tell you, husband and wife, their only son brought them to one of her senior swamis for initiation. He arranged everything. 1 year later, the father was in a very big post, he was director in so many companies. This boy was a chemical engineer, he was to go abroad. Everything was decided. Just 4 days later, he was to leave. There was some small medical problem, they took him to a hospital, a doctor, they sent him to a hospital. Then a 3rd day, he was taken to intensive care unit, 4th day, he died. So the world completely collapsed for the parent. There was nothing, there was no one else. The only child died. They were shattered, but then they came to Swami Ranganathanji. Maharaj gave them so much time. It's more than 20 years, they are still alive, they are somewhere in the outskirts of Chennai. Wonderful life, both of them. The husband, he conducts any number of such classes, Gita, etc. for those who are around. The wife conducts a lot of Balak Sangha activities for young children. They are just like ripe fruit, willing to just fall and be away forever from this world. So there are any number of cases, I can give you any number of instances, those who came to Sri Ramakrishna through this tradition, they did not get much of an explanation for what happened to their child, how it happened. But then they understood what they have to do in their life and how they have to get over this sorrow. So ultimately, all solutions are possible only at the subjective level. We can get solved, we can get our sorrows wiped out, we can live a meaningful life. That is a meaningful life, that's what these great extraordinary souls point out to us. Thank you very much.